Yes, hi. Thanks, Tammy. I'd like to speak a little bit about Gaza. Israel, certain reports would mean reoccupying all of Gaza. What is the State Department's position on that? Would you support an occupation of all of Gaza?
Well, of course, you know what we're focused on still, getting the hostages out after what we saw with videos over the last couple of days. It is a reminder to people about the evil that has been running this terror operation in Gaza via, of course, through Hamas. What I can tell you is that we would refer you in that instance regarding Israel's plans to the government of Israel. And regarding that reporting, again, reporting is one thing, real plans might be another. We are not in the business of interpreting statements from foreign governments when and if they're made. We do remain focused on freeing the hostages, including the remains of 2 Americans, and ensuring that Hamas never rules Gaza again.
Just to follow up on my colleague's question on Gaza,
yes.
Have U.S. officials spoken with Netanyahu about this potential plan for a complete military takeover of Gaza?
I won't remark on any conversations whether or not they have occurred.
Okay, and then Axios is reporting that Witkoff and President Trump discussed plans for the U.S. to increase its role in providing humanitarian aid to Gaza. What will this look like, and how quickly will the U.S. act? I know Trump has mentioned food centers. Where does that stand now?
Well, as we all know, every few minutes things change. When we say something's fluid on the ground, this couldn't be a better example of the nature of how things are moving. I can tell you that after the visit from Special Envoy Witkoff and Ambassador Huckabee, they went at the behest of the president, who wanted people on the ground to be able to report back to him exactly what was happening. Most of us, of course, are relying on reports from various areas. They have reported back to the president. What I won't do is get ahead of what the president will decide about what he's heard and the actions that he will decide to take. He will, obviously, he'll make that known to everyone. But what we do know, of course, from the beginning is that humanitarian aid has been at the heart of our action, not just for Gaza, but around the world. In my topper, as we call it, I mentioned, of course, our current standing with the Philippines and assistance there. But we do know, of course, just as a reminder for people who might not know, Special Envoy Witkoff spent over 5 hours inside Gaza this last weekend to assess the situation and to begin planning the best way to deliver urgent food and medical care to Gaza. And while we don't have anything to announce at this point, obviously it's rather early regarding the end result of that, that still remains our priority. All right. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Also on Gaza,
yes.
The Free Beacon reported last night about mounting concerns about the Red Cross and its failure to assess the Israeli hostages that are still being held there, especially after Hamas's latest videos came out. Folks I spoke to said to me that are actually looking at reassessing the U.S. relationship with the Red Cross because of this. So I wanted to ask you, one, about that. Is that an option with Congress to reassess the Red Cross's position over there? And two, what's your assessment of their job they've been doing in terms of accessing the Israeli hostages and providing them what appears to be much needed medical care?
Well, I won't speak about the Red Cross or Israel's reaction to that. There's certainly many moving parts. We know that that is part of the nature of what Hamas tends to do. I believe that there were some requirements for them to allow that, but I won't get into those particular details. Obviously, though, with what we've seen with those videos, I've referred to Hamas as monsters in this room. They are clearly a terrorist group. Their main support has been Iran, and they are on their heels now. Clearly, the Middle East is changing, and it is a change that President Trump has asked to be one that is a reflection of new ideas, of having this be a durable peace, not this vicious circle of it happening several times during each generation as though this was some new normal. We reject that. It is clear that the time is now to make the difference for. It is about, of course, the Israeli people. But the nationalities involved in October 7th, the way that this affects the world as they continue to contribute to try to make a difference, it's a world we all deserve better. So at this point, I would say that when it comes to what Israel's planning, we will have to wait and see. And again, what the decisions that President Trump will announce when it comes to what the way is forward will, based on his pattern, will come up very quickly, perhaps sooner than most of us can imagine. But there is, on the hostages, what we saw, it is an astoundingly evil reminder of who they are in the midst of the conversation around the world. For them to feel comfortable then putting on full display their barbarity and their inhumanity tells you that they seem to feel pretty comfortable at the moment. All of us, the world was appalled. I mean, there's just no other way to describe it. But our leadership clearly is involved in looking to the future, and that is one that the Gazan people deserve and that everyone in the world deserves. All right. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Tammy. Over the weekend, the State Department confirmed that Khamis Ayad, a Palestinian who died due to complications from smoke inhalation after trying to put out a fire started by allegedly Israeli settlers in a village in the West Bank, confirmed that he was a U.S. citizen. Is the U.S. State Department calling on Israel to investigate this death? Has this issue been raised with Israeli authorities?
Well, we have made comments before. There have been, it's a violent situation. There have been a few Americans who've passed in this kind of a dynamic, certainly also one in Syria. Our first priority, and it's not a motto or a slogan, is the safety and security of Americans everywhere. So certainly here at home, but also abroad. We know that when a death occurs in a foreign country, it's that foreign country's prerogative, right? They will be doing an investigation. We have called upon Israel to investigate, of course, each of these instances that they are, and that we wait to see what those investigations will be, and that's the case here in this situation. There's a great deal we of course still don't know, but that is something. To say we're following it is an understatement. We are on that and every other situation that has impacted an American citizen, wherever they may be in the world. And then once those local investigations are done and we take a look, again, this is a DHS issue, if you will, when it comes to investigations, or the FBI. But as each one of these situations move forward, I will keep everyone up to date. All right. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Tammy. Yesterday, Speaker Johnson was in the West Bank, which he referred to as Judea and Samaria, and said that it rightfully belongs to the Jewish people. Is that official U.S. policy? And if it's not, what is U.S. policy towards the West Bank?
I have said this about other diplomats who've spoken their minds, including Ambassador Huckabee. Certainly, that's not. If there's a policy in that regard, you would hear it from me. So I think I can say that. I'm not going to speak for him or characterize his words in any certain ways, but clearly that is his opinion.
But it's not the opinion of the U.S. government?
Well, I'm not going to speak about opinion of the government, and if there's a policy regarding the status in any region of the world, but certainly in the Middle East, I would wait to hear it from Secretary Rubio and President Trump. Sir. Yes,
Thank
Mike.
you, Tammy. On Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, Special Envoy Witkoff at his tour inspection of GHF sites last week, we were initially told when the U.S. came aboard as a financial sponsor of GHF that there be an ongoing review, essentially to determine if the money is being spent in a wise manner. So a month on now, I guess, or a little bit more, can you point, I mean, beyond just the number of meals, and I know you say it's never enough, can you pinpoint down to a more micro level, A, B, and C is working really well, D, E, and F are areas of concern? Can you get into that assessment?
Well, you know, I really can't. GHF could get into that, but I know the numbers get to be so big, it becomes something maybe that's not of interest. But it's over 1 million meals that have been distributed. I think that matters to the people that have been able to have those meals. And yes, he mentions the fact that it's never enough, because I remind people we don't expect it to be enough. And that's why we work to change the situation. I can refer you, though, also, again, to Special Envoy Witkoff's approach and his attitude, is that the visit was to make that determination about what else needed to happen in a framework that could be enough. And I've noted, of course, the only enough would be in an arena that was not a war zone and where you could actually build and facilitate something that could serve the people of that region.
Very quickly, President Trump remarked on Sunday evening he wasn't sure if Ambassador Waltz would be a member of the cabinet as the eventual UN ambassador, which was a change because Elise Stefanik was supposed to be. Secretary Rubio have a position as to whether he wants the UN ambassador to be in the cabinet?
Well, I love when you ask me the questions that I can't answer. So I'm not going to speak to what the president is thinking or considering regarding the cabinet or what other elements might be involved. Nor will I talk about Secretary Rubio's opinion about what may or may not happen hypothetically. All right.
Thank you.
Now to Nadia, thanks for your patience.
Thank you so much, Tammy. I wanted to press you again on the Gaza plan. The president said clearly and many times that he wants to end wars in the Middle East, and I believe that's the secretary's position.
Yes, that's true.
How does Netanyahu's plan or proposed plan of reoccupying Gaza fits into this vision, considering that many people believe that without American weapons, Israel cannot carry with this war? So you have lots of leverage to advise Prime Minister Netanyahu whether to take this decision or not.
Well, what I do love is when you're in the Oval Office and you're able to ask President Trump a direct question, which you've been able to do, and it's been very impressive. That is a question for the president. I would say, though, that and I'm, again, thrilled to be here with his leadership, in that we've seen him display what his commitment has been, which is to stop the suffering, end the carnage, bring peace for the who wouldn't if you had the wherewithal to do it. Of course, that's what we're doing. I certainly won't speak to what Israel's plans are. There's been many reports. I'm not going to speak to news reports or what another government is planning or not planning. What I do know is that this government, the Trump administration, is focused on this. It's clear. This is what they intend to do. He wants this to end. He said that from the beginning, that the actions that we would take, it wouldn't be about months or years, about meeting to have meetings, and that there's resolutions. As a businessman, you've got to have a point where something is developed and produced and done. So I would say that considering we know that the Secretary Rubio, of course, working very closely, and also as the acting NSA with the president in the White House, that we have, I would argue, the best minds in the world dealing with and deciding how to implement this notion that war-torn ravaging and suffering should never be someone's normal. That's what we will see from President Trump, Secretary Rubio, and this entire government as a whole. But we certainly won't comment on hypotheticals or speculating on what that might mean. The good news is you'll hear it right from them in a variety of different formats. And that it's an exciting time to watch this. It's heartbreaking most of the time. It's exciting and hopeful part of the time. And I think we're going to get there.
And Ambassador Huckabee, how do we know that he's speaking his mind as an opinion and when he talks about U.S. policy? Because he reports to the secretary. So as a reporter, how do I know if he's just expressing his opinion about the settlement being part of Israel, and when actually this is a policy, if the president or the secretary did not articulate that?
So we're getting into a little bit of a conspiracy dynamic here.
It's not really.
But here's why there's this podium. We have a very particular structure, that the president speaks on the tarmacs. He has gaggles. Caroline Leavitt speaks for the approach of the president in the White House. I am here speaking regarding the approach as the voice of the State Department, regarding what our plans are. I obviously can't say everything to you. That's very apparent. But I endeavor to say as much as I can to give you details. There is no one in the world who is randomly going to be speaking about policy that is not evident, that you have not heard from, or is a policy of the State Department or the White House that is not either evident to you, has been said has been put in a paper, a release, an op-ed, a readout. You have I would urge you to focus on the centers that have been created to offer what the policy of the State Department or of the White House, this government is. It's very obvious, and yet, of course, people will speak their mind. I would ask you to take everyone's comments as in that kind of situation as their opinion and speaking their mind. And it's why we love the diplomats of this country. We have some very smart, caring, passionate people. And he's one of them, and I adore him. Go ahead. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Just to clarify on the question about GHF, did Special Envoy Witkoff come away favorably impressed with what he saw of its operations last week?
Well, his statement, which I read at the beginning here, spoke to the fact that we're going to be continuing to look to how best to get humanitarian aid and to further our goal for the humanitarian aid. I have nothing further to say regarding his assessment of GHF or what that additional work or expansion might look like.
I was wondering if you have any update on the case of Saif al-Muslit, who was a Palestinian American, was killed a few weeks ago, last month to be exact. And Ambassador Huckabee said that he called on Israel to aggressively investigate the murder. If you have an update on that, and if not, you can get back to me anytime. But also, are there like any kind of communication between the U.S. government and the Israeli governments on stopping this from keep happening? Because apparently there is a pattern.
Well, I don't have anything new for you, but the initial posture is strong and remains, which is our expecting to see an investigation that comes with results. And of course, we are constantly engaged with Israel. I can't speak to exactly what those conversations are or on what topics, but it's been obviously made very clear that we expect some information and a resolution to the nature of what occurred. And obviously, when we learn that, we will take further action. So I can't give you the details in this regard. I can tell you it should be a given that any place, and we've demonstrated this throughout the administration, throughout certainly Secretary Rubio's remarks and his actions, as well as President Trump's, that we are trying to stop conflicts. We are committed to ending carnage and death and destruction around the world for everyone, but certainly this is from a president whose America First policy recognizes the value and the importance of this country in increasing the value and importance of every other nation around the world. But that is, in our unique position as Americans in this country, reliant on the United States of America being as strong and as capable as possible, because the world has seen our nature, and that is to stop wars, deter them, try to have ceasefires, have peace around the world. And his commitment domestically, as you've seen, and a whole of government effort, not just around the world, but here at home, to make sure that Americans are safe everywhere, including at our border, in American cities and towns, in large urban areas, that Americans here in the United States, we deserve a better life. That is why President Trump was elected. It is what Americans voted for. But we also expect for Americans to feel that wherever they are in the world. So yes, I think it's safe to say, not that I've been a party to the conversation, that it's clear to the world that we expect Americans to be treated well, to be safe, and if something happens horribly, to have it be dealt with appropriately. That is, I think, the bottom line when it comes to when we say here at the State Department, the safety and security of Americans everywhere is our top priority. We're not kidding. And neither is the president, and neither is Secretary Rubio.